Hello and welcome to this tutorial on the weapon and armor system. So we will firstly look through the weapons, every single type that there is, and then go to the armor, and at the end look at the other items such as health potions and how to create them. I have prepared a character controller. It has nothing, no body mounts, no equipment profile, no armor, things like that. So we have a blank start. So let's first give him my equipment profile or inventory. You can see there's nothing there. Starting hot for weapons is the weapons that the character already has on the start. It's important to always have 4 there. So even if there is nothing inside, they always have 4. Never add anything there or remove them. Simply just place items there if you want to. And if not, then leave it at null, but don't remove anything there. Starting equipped armor is that the player has on the start, and extra inventory items is everything that goes into the backpack. So let's assign the equipment profile, and then we will create our first weapon. I will start with the X. We give it a name. An equipment slot where it is. Main hand would be the right hand, offhand for example for shields on the left, two-handed. And ammunition will never be spawned in the hands, even if equipped, because, for example, a quiver has nothing to do on the hands, it should always stay in the back. We have a two-handed, then we select a sprite for the icon. You can use the icon creator that comes with it. I just already pre-made the icon, so the tutorial won't take as long, so you go to Topson Games, icon creator, and put everything inside there that you want to create the icon of. So it supports batch baking, and then you can adjust the rotations, zoom, is the resolution, the zoom, offset, and so on. And once you have everything inside there, simply click save icon, and the icons will be created. So we have 2 prefabs for a weapon, one in the hand, that being when the player has the weapon equipped or on the back, and one for the world, that is when the player drops the weapon or he is dead. And this is pretty much the pickup prefab. But you don't need to assign one if you don't want your weapon to be droppable on dead or something. So let's first go into the hand. The one that is actually equipable. Here firstly change the layer to body part for everything. And then remove this here really fast. And then at the melee weapon script, now you see a collider spawned. Adjust its size and position to be where the blade is. So for example like this here. And mark it as this trigger. If you want to use inverse kinematics, there is a solution for it. For example, for 200 weapons, you just add the weapon IK grip, and then you can choose either if the left hand should be placed via inverse kinematics or the right hand. For us, I want to have the left hand to be placed via inverse kinematics. So I'm gonna place the target inside there. If you leave it empty, then for example the right hand, nothing will happen with it. Place it roughly where it should be. Of course this needs to be adjusted in runtime then due to the rotation and everything. This we will look up in a moment, but it needs to match the equipped mount name here. Needs to match here the equipped mount name, which we will create now. So we want our equipped mount name to be extend and expect for when it's holstered and not in use. Here, and then we go to the player and we add those 2 for the body mount. So we need one for the back and one for the hand. Let's go to the right hand. Here we create one. Right hand. We can place the model of our weapon shortly inside there, roughly adjust the position. So for example like this. Of course this needs then to be changed during runtime to actually see where it is spawned. But it should work with something like this here. Then remove the weapon again and assign the game object on the body mouse. And then give it a name. This name here, the mount name, it needs to perfectly align here with the mount name. Otherwise it won't be spawned. The mount transforms name is actually not important, but it's a good practice to just name it itself. And then we will do the same thing for when it's on the back and currently not in the hand. So yeah, it's fine. Something like this. Here we can also just preview the position, place it inside. Something like this should work. Then remove the weapon again and assign it. Here it's the same, that the name needs to match. Okay, wonderful. So we can go further. We noted the equipped mount name and the holstered mount name. We can assign a weapon override controller in case we want to override animations and not create a whole new weapon type or something in the animator. And then we select the weapon type. You can see it in the animator in the upper layer. 200 weapons is type 2. This is simply for animations, so it knows which state to play. And then we can do equip animations and unequip animations. Here you can see the equip animations in the animator. So this one will do 2 and 2. You can also always check them. It's also in the documentation. And then you can do for the inventory and economics, you can give it a buy price and a price to sell it for and a description. This is a fixed X, for example. Then we go to the combat and stats, the damage, the attack range. This is only for the AI, how close it will go to the enemy. And this was a stamina cost for an attack and a block, in case you want to use those. Then this is solely for ranged weapons, which this is not. Here on the defense, can you block with this weapon, and here the stamina cost block actually. And then if this weapon is actually used or not. Here you can also assign effects and audio, as well as shaking the camera, for example, for blocks and attacks. And that's pretty much it. We will now put it as a starting weapon. So for the pickup, we go into the pickup object, give it a collider, adjust its size, give it a rigid body, and an item pickup. So this item pickup here, the item data is the same one that we created. We can play a specific animation trigger and lock a player input for a specific duration to play a pickup animation, and also change the layer to interactable. So now we need to go here and actually tell it So before trying out, we need to actually go into the weapon again and give it here our equipped mount name, otherwise the inverse kinematics will not work. And then we can try it out. As you can see now, the weapon gets equipped as wanted. We can attack with it. We can block and put it onto our back in the lift position and equip it again. Equip animations are also playing. Of course, the positions are not perfect. This is something that needs to be adjusted during runtime. Here, for example, the target of the left hand for the inverse kinematics is not perfect, but you can simply here adjust it like that and then copy the component and go back into it, the weapon, and paste the values. And this way you can set everything up to your liking. So this weapon is now working, which is pretty good. Then let's now create a shield weapon. Here it's the same setup, just there is an offhand weapon, shield, assign the prefabs, and the mount. So go into the character and then we create the mount positions again. So the shield should be on the left hand. Place the shield inside of it. You can see it is way too small, so I'm just gonna quickly change its size and override the prefab, something like this. And then change the position of the body mount and the weapon mount to your liking, something like this should work out. And assign it here on the body mount. Same thing for the back. Just gonna duplicate this for now and give it a name. And also adjust the position here. Something like this here, looks good. And put it into the body mount. The wrong one. And here, shield back. So now let's go into the hand prefab for the shield, give it a layer body part, and add a box slider. That's it for the shield. You can also go into the world prefab, change this layer to interactable, add a glider, a rigid body, and the item pickup script. So further on the setup for the shield, It does not use a weapon type here because it's on the left hand. Flip animation is 2, so from the back. You can also give it a buy and a sell price and a description. Now it does not use any damage for the shield. You can ignore that, and for the defense, click this shield is true. Then we can give the shield a given amount of health. So for example, the shield can be destroyed if it takes too many hits. And a sound in the effect for being destroyed. And also there we can add a screen shake and particles. So if we now assign the shield to the weapon data, we can try it out. As you can see, the shield is on the back because we don't have it equipped in the main hand currently, but it is in the hotbar. Here you can see its health bar, and if we change now to the shield, it equips the shield on the left hand. The position is slightly off, but that can be adjusted through the position of the hand transform, for example, like this. Now it looks better, and then we copy the transform here and place it back in the prefab of the character. The switching also works. So what we are gonna create now is a bow, which is a bit different from the other weapons. But the main setup is the same. It is in the main hand, we can call it. Then select an icon, world prefab, a hand prefab and the world prefab. For the world prefab, simply add the item pickup again, exactly the box collider. A rich body and item pickup. That's it. So for the hand prefab, we don't need to actually change anything there. You can use animations for the bow. So to do that is bow visual controller, it's called. Then assign the bow here. You can assign an arrow ghost object. This can't be a prefab. You can assign a ghost object for the bow. Simply place that where the bow would actually be. I'm gonna disable the trail renderer really quick and then disable it and put it inside here. And you can also create an animation controller. For example, I already have one. Here's nothing more inside than a simple blend tree where with an idle animation and when the bow is fully drawn. So, for example, here you can see it, and you need to play around with here thresholds. For me, 0 and 0.1 works because the draw animation of the character is quite short. But yeah, it will listen to to the draw animation of the character, and this way you can actually make a draw animation for the bow. And then that's it so far for the bow. You can go further. Then the equipped mount name and the holster mount name is the same as for the other weapons. So the weapon ID for a bow is 4. Let's put this inside here. And the equip animation index, I think about 3. But yeah, you can change those. And then we create the equipment mounts for the player. So the bow should be on the left hand. Then, as usual, just put the weapon inside to preview. And it should be something like this here. And then do the same thing for the back. Something like this. Good. And assign those two game objects. Oh, this is the wrong one. And something like this. So the bow setup is not yet finished. Now we go into combat step. The damage ranged. Now we take it as a ranged weapon. It is not consumed on use. This is for example for javelins or throwable axes. And it uses a specific type of ammo, you can say, for example an arrow, and it requires an arrow. The projectile and spawning we need to set up. The projectile prefab here does not matter. This is for javelins, but what does matter here is the projectile spawn point name. So that is where the projectiles or the arrows in our case will be spawned. So create a new one, spawn bow. Will always be spawned at the C forward. So for example, somewhere, let's say like this. You can of course also place it as a child of the hand or something. And then you go to the combat controller, and this is where the projectile spawn points are put in, and give it a name. Here it's the same, it needs to match, the point name needs to match the data in the bow. So this one here. Then you can go to the charge settings. So if you draw the bow and hold it, what's the maximum time and what's then based on the charge time the minimum and the maximum projectile force. And then that's it for the bow. Of course, we now said that the bow, it needs ammunition, and we currently have no ammunition. So we will create this also. So we are gonna use a quiver. It is its own item, and it also has a hand and a world prefab. We do not actually need to set a equipped mount name for ammunitions because it will never be spawned in the hand. What we need to do, however, is for the back. So let's back and create one on the character. Then let's look at position again. This looks good. And put it into the body part. It does also not need a weapon type or equip animation. Of course, you can set up economics, something like that. And here you need to actually set up a projectile prefab. For that, I'm gonna duplicate this arrow here real fast and call it, because the projectiles actually come from the quiver and not the arrow, the bow itself. So we're gonna put in the projectile and then go into the arrow, change it to the layer body part, give it a collider. For example, I like to use a spear collider that is here at the beginning, and give it a projectile script. Here you can set the lifetime, afterwards it will automatically be destroyed. It's good for performance. And some effects. The damage it does is still controlled over the bow under base damage. And also through the charge time. So the damage differs a bit. And then that's it here. You can of course add a trail renderer, for example, like I have, because then you can actually see the trail once it's flying. And now we can try it out. So let's go into the equipment profile, add our bow and also the quiver, because otherwise we won't have any ammunition. So one thing that we also need to go through is click on ranged. Click is ranged weapon is consumed unused, and click that we have 30 ammunition. So this is ammo type of arrow, and required ammo type is arrow. And as it's an arrow here on the bow, it is ammo type none. It is not an ammo. Okay, now we can try it out. Everything is in the equipment profile. And let's select a bow. It does not spawn in the hand currently, but at least it shoots. So the arrow itself seems to be working, but not the spawn point. Let's look into that. Bow hand. Because we named it false. We did not rename it bow hand, and it was as hand bow. So let's try that. As you can see now, it's in the hand. We can aim and shoot the arrow. Of course, the position the arrow is now coming out is wrong, but that can be adjusted through the projectile spawn point. And let's put the word now. So you can, on the bottom right, you can see if they shoot now, the ammunition goes down, and we cannot equip the ammunition. Let's go to the inventory. You can see the tooltips are working, everything. That's pretty good. So let's do the same thing now for Javelin. Also main hand. Here it also has a weapon and a word prefab. And it is the same. The weapon type here is 5. Choose the equip animations. If you leave those to -1, no animation will be played. And then let's set up the equipment positions. I forgot the name and Javelin. And also try to see if the weapon fits. Something like this. Just put it up. And same thing for the back then. Actually, a back Javelin. Name again. And just here. Seems good enough. Then a fanbow. And for the Javelin, we also need to create a projectile spawn point. So this can be set bow and just gonna duplicate it and create spawn Javelin. Put it a bit on the right where it should spawn. And put it inside the combat controller. Then go back into the Javelin settings. You can change the damage. For the bow and Javelin, of course, the attack range should be higher. So definitely immediately go to B. And then here we click it is a ranged weapon. It is consumed on use, so it uses itself. And you can give it an initial ammo count, for example 1 if you want every Javelin's own throwable weapon, but you could also say, okay, one item pickup gives me 4 throwable Javelins. It has no required ammo type, it is no ammo type, and it has a height timer. So this is after we throw the Javelin, how long it takes the character until a new one will appear in its hand, so it is not instantly again a Javelin there after throwing. Then projectile prefab will be the Javelin itself. Actually, let's not do that. You can do it itself, but we will create a third one. So that, and then put our spawn building here. Here the charge time is also set. Same, of course, the Javelin is not as fast as an arrow. It cannot block. And we also need to say for the bow, it cannot block. So if we go into the Javelin projectile now, here, it is the same as for arrows. So collider, give it the layer body part, rigid body, and a projectile script. Now let's try it out. Go to the equipment profile. I showed work. You can see the Javelin is in our hand, goes to the back. We could also equip a shield. And we can throw it. You can see that after throwing, it's not there for a short time. This is because of the height timer. And it seems to be working fine. Of course, for the world prefab, there is also the item pickup script that we can place onto it, so we can pick it up again. Let's do that real quick. Later. Here actually I am at the wrong prefab because the Javelin, the projectile, is the same as the drop prefab. Yeah, of course we can also add a pickup script here. We could add it through the world pickup, the world prefab, but also to the projectile prefab, so that you can later on pick the same projectile again. And then that's it for the weapons. So I'm now gonna show you the armor system. The armor system works for modular characters, but also single mesh characters that have some kind of game objects that are armor, for example, shoulder pads or something like that, or specific body parts that you can enable or disable. So what you can do is you can create a default naked armor. It works the same as all the other armor. It's just the one that goes back once you unequip your armor. This one will still be there, so that you can actually then still see the character and it's not invisible because all the armor is set inactive. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a body part groups. You need to do this for every group that you want to change. For example, we are gonna change the head and the hands. And then you simply assign all available meshes. So for example, for the head, and I don't know, everything that what you say you want to have changeable within this category of head. And then the same thing for the hands. So you can also have multiple meshes within one category. For example, the hands and the lower arm for me here. And then let's go here, upper right, lower left, and lower. And then also the right hand and the left hands. Okay, now everything is inside here. It's quite important that everything that is we want to have changed or as a default armor is inside those lists. And then we can create our armor. Now we will create a naked one for when the player has nothing equipped. Put it into the default naked armor, so this will be the head. And then create one for the arms. Okay, now we can actually set up the armor. Here you don't need to put anything aside because it's the naked armor, it will never be in an inventory or anything. It does not need an icon or something. The only thing it needs, here you can also remove the defense value. If you want your armor to have defense value, then it will reduce the damage that you take once it's equipped by this amount here. The only thing that we need to do is all of the skin meshes that it will enable when you have this armor equipped. So for example, if we say, okay, our head should, so if we have a head armor and we put a string inside there for one of those here, then it will disable everything else in this available meshes except this one that we named by our string. For example, for the head, this one is our naked one. We just copy the name of this and put it into our zero and put it inside here. You can also enable multiple ones. For example, this is what you will do for the arms. You will enable the hand on the left and the right side, then the lower arm, the upper arm on the left and the right side, so you can pretty much build whatever you want there. It's on the category hand. Then we do the same thing for the arms. Here, let's change it to arms, or in our case, hands. And then put everything inside here. So it is start with the left side, copy this here, put it inside. And now that we have everything from the left side, we also want it for the right side. We don't need to manually go inside there. We can just click this here, mirror left right meshes, and it will mirror it. But it only works if the name is actually common and usable. For example, if there is no left inside of the word, then it can't mirror it. And that's it for the naked ones. And now we create actual armor that we can later on see. So call it our head armor. You can also give it by sell price and information. Then you can select an icon. So for example, this one here, or this is a quite beautiful one, I think. Or maybe find something better. Let's say this one here. So let's give it an icon. You can again here create icons here by the icon creator. I already have one from the demo. I think it was this one here. And then we take the name again and put it here into our unit. Can of course also give it a higher defense value. And then we do the same thing for the arms. Oh, this is a weapon. We want to have armor. Change it to hands. Here we will go to this one. Let's just take this image here. I'm not quite sure which one it was actually. Then we do the same thing for the skin meshes. So we take here from the left this one, put it inside. Then here this one, put it inside. And here, just one it is. And put it inside. Then we can mirror it again. And it's set up. So let's go into the equipment profile. We are gonna put it now into the backpack. Or actually we can also put it as starting armor. So arms and our head. And what you can see now, that it changed. We have the head on and the arms changed on both sides. So if we unequip it, you can see the default naked armor that we created earlier is back here. And this is how you can create armor in the system. So if you want to create other items, for example, a health potion here, there's a pre-made one. It has the same things like name, icon, buy, sell price, and wealth prefab. Here it also has healing power. So once you drink it, and what you can do if you want to create your own items, let's go inside here. You simply let it inherit from item data and at the create asset menu up here. And what you want to do is you overwrite the use item, which is here in the base script, and then it passes to you the player or the equipment manager, and then you can just do whatever code you want to do there. It gets called once you click on left click in the inventory on it. So this here gets called every time you click with left click on this item in the inventory. For example, here you click left click in the inventory, then it adds health to the health component, and the item gets removed from the inventory. So that's it. I hope this whole setup was understandable, and if you have any questions, if something was unclear or anything else, feel free to write me on Discord or email, and I hope you have a nice day.